Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. Thank you so much for joining. Good afternoon from wherever it is that you are joining us from. My name is Dam Larry, and I will be your host, your favorite host today again. We are here to learn. Okay. Um, it's 4 on the dot already, and without wasting time, I would like us to start. But who are those in the house today? Anytime you are welcome. I can see you. I can see my boss, Ayodeji. I know you are welcome. And our favorite winner, Thomas Adebayo, you are welcome too. Thank you so much all for joining in today. Okay, we are still waiting for others to join, but we will not be waiting for anybody. Anyone that comes late will have to go and watch the video. And please take note that I said questions will be entertained in this video, in this training, on the live channel alone. So the way I answer questions on my WhatsApp group, I noticed that the questions I answer are for people that I'm answering for. Other people cannot benefit from that answer. So if they ask the question in a group like this, I can give an answer that everybody will benefit from, so that the same mistake that A has made, B will not need to make that mistake again. That is the reason. So please, as I teach, kindly jot down your question, and when it is time to ask the question, you just quickly type them in the chat box and then send them, and I will address them right here. Today we'll be looking at an interesting part of our journey, which is the interesting part is we are looking today at the form. I'll be using my project folder, but for you, please don't use your project folder. Try and create the training folder that we talked about, and then use the training folder for training, project folder for your project. So we'll be dealing with what we call forms today. Forms. Many of you have seen forms before online. In fact, you filled a form to be able to attend this training. You filled the form. I hope you remember, just that the form is Google form. But they used the same principle to build those forms that we are going to be learning today. How do we create forms? How do we create forms is what we'll be learning today. So we are going to be learning some tags. We'll be learning some tags. We'll be learning some attributes. We'll be learning some tags and attributes. Yes, we'll be learning some tags and attributes. What are tags and what are attributes? If you check this line, this is an image tag, right? You have known this one now as image tag because it starts with img. Img is the tag itself. Everything you put inside it to give it instruction on how to work is what we call attribute. For example, in this image tag, the src is an attribute, and then it has a value of this value ./images/category1.jpg. Another attribute that we have is alt, and it has a value in front of it. So we represent the value in front using equal sign. So attributes are used to supply further information to tags, so that the tag will know exactly how to handle what you want it to handle. All right. I believe everyone can hear me very well, right? If you can't hear me again, kindly drop a message for me, please. If you can hear me, please drop it in the chat box to let me know that you can all hear me. Thank you. If you can hear me, please drop your chat in the box. Drop in the chat box so that I can know that people are hearing me. Now we move on. While I'm waiting for that message, we'll be looking at some tags for form, and we'll also be looking at the attributes for those tags that helps us to create a visually appealing form. Although what makes a form visually appealing is actually your CSS, not HTML. You will see when we begin to use HTML now, it's not going to be beautiful, but it is CSS that you now apply to it that makes it beautiful. You can hear me, Thomas. Thank you so much. Okay, now that's good. Let's move on. Let's start. To be able to create any form, no matter the level of software development you are in, once you want to create form, whether you are using React, you are using whatever it is that you are using, the basis of form is to start with the form tag. And to be able to create a form tag, you type FORM, which is form, and just press your tab, just like that. And then you have created the container for form. Once your browser sees this line, it knows that everything inside this tag, the opening tag and the closing tag, it will be interpreted as a form. Okay, I'll be explaining each of the components, but there's another attribute here that is very, very important. It's called method. Method equal to something. Now, let me explain this first line before we begin to put things inside our form. This first line is having form as the tag itself. Then it's having action attribute and method attribute. Action attribute and method attribute. What is the usage of action attribute? You know that when the form is finished, when you finish filling the form and you click on submit, it must go somewhere. So that somewhere that it will go is what we normally put inside this action. That's what you put this inside this action. So this action specifies where your form will go to after it has been filled. That is the meaning of action. Please write it down. Write it down so that you will be able to check it even after the video. Action means where your form is going to after it has been filled. What about method? Method means that, you see, there are different ways to package your form. For example, if you want to, you can use get method. There are different methods to interact with the server. The server can take a get request, and it can also take a post request. For example, there are more than that, but let's just take those two. For example, get and post. Get and post. Okay, get and post. Now, get is used when you want to retrieve items from the server. You want to get some things from the server. That's the meaning of get. When you want to send something to the server to submit, you use post. So generally, forms are always carrying the method of post. But by the time if you want to see all the method, just say method equal to. As you put your equal sign, it should give you the options. Let me see. Let me do it again. Method equal to this. You have get, and you can see get there. You can see post. So post is what we will be using. Though we are not going to be interacting with the server because that requires a kind of JavaScript, which we are not covering within the scope of this training. But we will see how we can do a beautiful form and see all the concepts, all the components that are embedded inside of it. So I've already explained action and I've explained method. Let's talk about inside the form now. Inside the form, what are the things that you can have? Number one, you might want your users to have a kind of a place where they can put their first name. Because you want them to put their first name, that is a single line input. It's just one line. I don't think there is a name that can span 3 lines. So it's just going to be one line. So for stuff like that, we use what we call input. And as you begin to type your input, it gives you all these options. All these options. The one that you want to use is this input of text. Input of text. There is input of time, input of URL, input of a reset, input of a lot of things there. Input of a lot of things. But the one that we want for name is going to be text. So I'm going to be picking this one. And then it's going to give me this. I will not be using name and ID for this one. I will not be using name and ID for this one. I will just put input type equal to text. Now I will save it now so that you can see what is happening on my screen. Let me close the live server and then I'm going to open it again. Opening it up again, it should show up right here now. It should show up right here. Okay, so I'm going to be creating the form under this image. Let me put a lot of line breaks so that it can push this one up. It can push the images up. You remember how to put line breaks? If I want this form to come down so that the images will go up, line breaks BR, then you can always copy and paste as many times as you want. By the time you do that, you will see that you can have some spaces here. So let me put to show the beginning of the form, I can say, let me put something here. P tag this, or H3, let me use H3 for that. H3, this is the beginning of the form. Okay, I'll save it so that it can show up on the screen for me. This is the beginning of the form there. All right, let me put this thing on top. Let me put it above. This is the beginning of the form. Let's start from here. Okay, pick all the form. I want to pick all the form now. Take them to, pick all the form and take them on to the very top before my wrapper. You won't need to worry about this because you are using your training folder. I'm using project folder, and I want it to be showing up on top so that I won't have to be scrolling down. So now all those line break I did, I'm going to be putting them after my form so that it can push down my project. Save, and then I will have something like this. Good. So this is the beginning of the form. Now you can see that there is input here. Now I can click inside it and type something. First name, let's say Oluwaseyi, Funmi, Ogedengbe, stuff like that, you know. Now there are things that we need to put to help the user to know what is going to put here. We need to put a label there. We need to label this thing, and there is a way to do the label, but for us not to get confused, let me just use a normal paragraph tag. So let's say before this input, I'm going to put paragraph, and I will say first name. I will save it. Then it's going to show like this. Another thing we can do is that inside this input, I can put something inside to help the user, to give the user a hint of what it should feel inside here. I can say something like I can write something like inside here, put your first name, or input first name inside here. How do I do that? Another attribute called, this type attribute specifies which type of input I'm using. But another attribute is what we call placeholder. And when I select placeholder, I can type whatever message I want to use to hint the user what to put inside the form. For example, if I want to type, I want the user to see enter first name. When I save it, it's going to show up inside here just like this. That is a placeholder. Once the user begins to type, it's going to disappear. And when there is no text inside the box, it's going to appear again. So that is called placeholder. All these things are important. Placeholder. All right. After we put placeholder in our input text, let's have another input. Before we have that input, let's have a paragraph tag that is called last name. Then let's have input of text again. Input and then type equal to text. So I'm going to save it so that you can see the second one on the screen. Last name. I'm going to put placeholder here. You can guess the placeholder I'm going to put, right? Of course. Enter last name. Enter last name. When I save it, the placeholder will show in the something just like this. So last name, enter last name. All right. Now I've created two input fields. Now, assuming I want to ask the user to choose from a set of options. Maybe I want to ask and he's going to choose only one. Let's say I want to ask about his favorite editor. We have different editors. Like I told you on the first day, we have different text editors. Currently, I'm using VS Code. This is VS Code that I'm using. So assuming we want to ask the user what is his favorite editor, then you can go ahead and do that one. It's still inside the form. You go to the end of the line, press enter like this, and then I want to put another paragraph and say, choose your favorite editor. Now, I want the user to be able to choose only one option out of all the options I will give them. So when we need a user to choose only one option, what do we use? We use what we call radio. Yes, you heard me right. For those of you hearing it for the first time, it is called radio, and it's not the radio that is like television. It's not radio and television, no. But we call it radio buttons. So we will see how we create them now, and we will see how we use them to select only one option. So I'm going to start by saying input again. When I begin to type input, it's going to give me this option. Then I will just scroll down and look for where I will see radio. Can you see input of radio here? Input radio. So I will select it. And then it's giving me name and ID already. Okay. Now, input. Type is radio. What is the name? Let me give this thing a name. Let me say editor. They must all have the same name. The same name that we will use to, that name groups them together and ensures that you are only able to select only one out of all of them. I may not need ID for now, except if I want to style, but for now, name is okay. Okay? Sometimes you can have value too, but for the purpose of this, since we are not sending it to the server, there is no need. I'm going to save this one, and then we will see it on the screen. You can see choose your favorite editor. And you can see the radio button there. If you click it, you will see it will have something like that. But what is the word that will help the user to know that it is for, to know what it is for? So let's put value here for now. Value equal to, let's say this one is VS code. Let's save it and see what is happening on the screen. Nothing is happening. So we have put value there and nothing is happening. What do we do? Okay, we want it to label it. We want to label it as VS code. That is what we want to do. But we have put the value here and it's not going. What are we going to do? Remove the value. Now, before you close this, there are ways to close it. So you don't need to close it. You don't need to close it there. Let me put a closing tag of input here. Closing tag of input here. What is happening? You know, before now we have talked about input, we have talked about opening tags and closing tag. Okay, so now I put opening tag of input and I put closing tag of input, and it is still not working. I mean, it's showing red. It's showing red means there is an error somewhere. Which means there is an error somewhere. So what is the error that we are having? Any idea? Anybody? No idea. Okay. We want to do how we want to know how we'll be able to label this thing so that it will show that this thing is a radio and what it stands for. Okay, let me just use a P here and say a P tag and say this one is for VS code. I will save it and then you see VS code there. Let me create another one. This time around, I'm having, apart from VS code, we also have Sublime. There's something called Sublime. Sublime. So I'll just copy this input field and then I will paste it right at the end of this one. Paste it right at the end of this one. Then I will save. Sublime. I will make their values to be different. Their value must be different so that, but they must have the same name. The value of this one is Sublime, so that when we submit it, it is that value that it will take to the server. I was thinking of not including this value before, even though, I mean, because we are not sending it, but it is important for you to know how will the server be able to differentiate between the two type of radio. Okay, this one will be VS code, like that. So we have VS code, we have Sublime. Let me add one more. I'll copy this one, Control C, then come to the end and paste it. And we also, apart from Sublime, which other one do we have? We also have what we call Atom. We have Atom. and we have Emacs. We have a lot of them. So the value for this one is going to be atom. So when the server sees these three things, it's going to label this one as VS Code using this value. Going to label this one as that. It's going to label this one as atom, and I'm going to be showing it on the screen right now. It's going to look like this. It's coming up. Okay, so we have 3 radio buttons. Now watch what happens when I select this one, and then I come to select this one. The mark will leave the first one and come to the one you have just selected because they are having the same name. If I choose this one, it will leave this one and come here. If I leave this one, if I choose this one, it will leave. So you can only choose one out of all of them. Now let's change their names to editor 1 and editor 2. This one editor 3. Different names now. Let's see what will happen because they are having 3 different names. If I choose this one, and I choose this one, and I choose this one, can you see now? I'm able to choose the 3 of them because they are having 3 different names. If you change the name, if you use the same name for all of them, you are telling the browser that you want to be able to choose only one out of the radio buttons, which is what they are meant for. But if you use different names, you'll be able to have something like this, which is not appropriate. So always make sure that you use the same name for your for the name of your radio buttons. I'm removing the different name now so that you can all have editor, and then I will save. Okay, that is our radio buttons. What else can we have in a form apart from this? We have asked for the first name, we have asked for the last name, and we have put placeholder there. Remember placeholder? Good. Placeholder. Yes. And then now these are radio buttons now. We can also have checkboxes where we have a lot of options, but we want the user to be able to select maybe 2 or 3 answers. For example, if I ask you now that what are your favorite sports? Where do you like to go to? It's possible you have more than one answer. So for that kind of question, we use what we call checkboxes. So I'm going to be creating checkboxes right here now. Checkboxes. Now, how do we create checkboxes? Just as you know, it's also a kind of input. So begin by typing your input, and then as you begin to type your input, you will have these options from VS Code. Scroll until you have checkboxes. Checkbox. You are looking for checkbox. Okay, this is checkbox here. Then I'm going to click it, checkbox, and then it looks like this. The same way like radio buttons, you will want your checkboxes also to have the same name so that it can treat them equally. Let's remember to put our paragraph tag here to be able to name them, appropriately. Okay, p tag. The first one, let's say your favorite. Let me use H3 here and say select your 2 favorite sports. Okay, let me use sports. Okay, what are your 2 favorite sports? Maybe you like badminton, so let's start from this one. Let's say this one is table tennis. Give me your options in the chat. I want to see. Give me your options. What options do you think we can use? What are the options that we can have? Table tennis. The name of this one, let's put it at sports. ID is not really needed for now. So table tennis is the first one. I'm going to copy it. I'll create another one. I'll call this one football. My own sport is not there. I've not put my own sport. My own sport is chess. Let me put my own sport there. I play chess. Chess is what I play. I don't like playing football. So let's put chess there. Although that one is a game, right? It's not a sport. Let's just add it by style. Okay, so we have 3 now. Let's save and see what is happening on the screen. We have table tennis, we have football, and we have chess. Do we have any option from the group? Football, I've already included. Okay, basketball. Thomas Adebayo said basketball. Let's include basketball there too. Basketball. Okay, basketball. Thank you for that. Basket and ball. Okay, so we have 4 options. And in this, when you are using checkboxes, you can actually select more than one. Radio buttons is where you select only one. For checkboxes, you can select more than one. You can do this and do this and then do this. But it is still important for you to use the same name for all of them to help the server know what the options that you have chosen, what do they belong to. So it's going to categorize them as it's going to group them together and then send your answers together in a form to the server for processing. Okay. Don't worry yourself if you don't know how the language of server, all those kind of things I'm talking about. The simple explanation for server is that it helps us to is the one that handles the things that we cannot see after we have done what we can see on our website. Information can come from the server and then you display them on the front end. That is in your web page, the one that you are seeing. The back end is the place where you are not seeing. We write code for it too, using some programming languages. But you don't need to worry about yourself about that for now. Just focus on how can you create checkbox correctly and be ready to send them to the server. Okay, so now we have talked about input. We have talked about type equal to checkbox, type equal to radio. We have talked about placeholder and type equal to text. Assuming it's a form where you want the user to put the password, username and password. So let's just put password now. How do we include password? Because if I type something here now, it's going to be showing. And you know that in password field, we don't normally allow the text to show. So how do we do it? Let's create password under this last name. I will go to where last name is. This is where last name is. Under it, I'm going to create a password now. Password field. Password field. This one are radio buttons. Radio buttons. So password field. Password field. How do you do it? Just type your input again. Type input. I know by now you begin to think everything is input. Everything is input. Well, everything is not input, but let's just continue. Input is password. Input of password is what I'm going to pick now. And how is he writing it? He said input type equal to password. Name for this one is not really important because the name helps the server to know what it is, but it's not as if you are grouping anything together. There are different ways to actually package this thing together. The one that name is important is your radio buttons and your checkboxes. Name is very important in that one because you have to group some things together. In these places, in this other place, name is not very important. It's not very. Mark that word very. It's not as if you cannot use it, and it's not as if it does not have its work. But it's not very. It's not essential. It's not compulsory for you to put it there, especially if you have other ways of handling your data, which we normally do very well. But don't let me stress you. So I'm going to remove name and ID from here. Type equal to password. I will save it so that we can see what it looks like on the screen. Let me add the label. P password. And don't forget that I said if you want your user to know what the field is used for, you want to give them a hint, you can always put something that we call placeholder. So I'm going to be putting placeholder here, and I will say enter your I will just say bank password. Enter your bank password. So if you like, enter your bank password there. So bank password. That is the placeholder there. Don't forget that word. Bank. I said bank. Sorry. Placeholder. Placeholder. Right. That is about password field. Now, what else can we have in a form? Sometimes we want the user to type a lot of stories, maybe 3 lines or 4 lines about themselves. So we can have something like that too. Let's come here. After basketball, after the sport, let's create a comment and say your life story. Then I'll create P to show the label. Please share your story. Please share your story. Then I need a place where the user can be able to type the story there. I know it's going to be like 2 lines or 3 lines or 4 lines. So I cannot use this one, this input. Input of text will give me only 1 line like this. I cannot use it. I need something that is a bit bigger that will be able to accommodate and handle Okay, somebody just gave me baseball. Thank you so much. Titus, thank you for joining. Baseball, I will use it later. Okay, so now we cannot use, I cannot use that single line of I cannot use single line of input. I need something that is a bit like a box that can help the user to type like 3 or 4 lines. How do we do that? Let's check it in input whether it is there. If it's not there, then we will type it ourselves. Let's begin to scroll. What we are looking for is text area. If you see it, let me know. Text area. Text area. Is it there? It's not there. It's not there. So you see that everything is not input. Everything is not input. Everything is not input. Like this one now, it's not there. It's not in input. So input has done most of its work. Now I'm going to cancel input and actually put there what will help us to be able to achieve that. It is called text area. So begin to type text, it's going to give you this option. So do you want text area alone, or text area with a number of column, or text area with a number of column and rows, or text area with a number of rows alone? Let me tell you what it means. Let me select this one. If you select that one, let me first of all remove name and ID so that it doesn't get too cumbersome easily. Now, column 30 means it's going to be as wide as 30 rows. Let me save it so that you can see it on the screen. It's going to look like this. Columns 30, this is 30 columns. If I change it to 40, it becomes wider. 40, it becomes wider. You see now it's wider. Change it to 60, it becomes even wider again. It's coming, it's processing. That is 60. Then the row talks about how high you want it to be. If I take it to 30 from 10, it's going to look like this. So that is the meaning of columns and rows. If you don't put any columns and rows, let's see what will happen. What is going to happen? Let me save this one and let's see what happens. So this is what you are going to have if you don't put any column or any row. But the user can still have the thing can accommodate a lot of text. Let's see. This is how I check if I am typing. You can see that it is creating new line. So I'm typing correctly, and also you can see it has already created another line for it and it's already ready to scroll. But you can also still come here on the front end, assuming the space is not enough for you, and drag it like this and create the columns and rows manually instead of programmatically. I hope you are learning something. So you can drag it if you want, and then you can put the column and rows here from the start. But if I save this one again now, it's going to go back to where it was. So let me leave it at call 30 and rows 10. Save, and so that it will look a bit okay like this. All right, this one too should be able to handle placeholder. Let's try and see if we can have placeholder there. Placeholder. I will say placeholder. What will be the placeholder for this one? Let's say the placeholder is enter your life story. Save it and let's see what happens. And then it is there. And so one thing about placeholder is that once you begin to type inside it, it will disappear. I'll begin to type now. 1, 2, 3, go. You will see that it has gone. Placeholder will disappear once you begin to type in your text in your text area box. In your text area, it begins it will disappear. That is about text area. What else can we have in a form? Sometimes you want to include a number. You want them to pick a particular number. For example, your age. So I will say paragraph age. I'll save it. Age is there. Then I want to use input to know what the person's age is, and I'm very sure that the age is going to be number. There is no other age. We don't have age of letters. It's always going to be a number. So to be able to make it easier for my user, I can come here and look for input of number like this, and then I will save it, and you will see what will happen now. You see, when you bring your mouse there, it gives you this up and down cursor that you can use to actually change the value of the box. So you can leave it at 32, You can leave it at 56. You can continue increasing it and continue reducing it as much as you want. Okay, that is input of a number. If you want to use a number, assuming you want to enter email, like this user now, we did not request for the person's email. There is also input that specify that target email. Come and see. P email, and then at the end I say input. So you scroll here, and then you click on email. When you select it, it's going to come here. What is the difference? Where did I put it? At the end? No, I want to put it on top. I'll cut it away from here, and I'm going to after last name. After last name. Okay, after last name. That's where I'm going to be putting my email field. Then I will save it. I want to see it somewhere here. Good, email. Let me put placeholder there. Placeholder is enter email. Save. All right. So what is the difference between this one and this one? The difference is this. Because you are using type of email, it knows how email must look like. So if you are typing something that is not email, it's going to complain, or it should complain if there is no error, any error anywhere. So let's see what happens. If I come here and I just type Joseph, here I type I know, and here I want to type Thomas. Let me go away. Okay, by the time I'm clicking submit, that's when it will be implemented. Okay, let me quickly create that submit button so that I can begin to show you some things. I want to create a button now that we can use to submit this form. Okay, how do we create button? Let's try it with input. Input. Do we have button? Yes, we have input of button here. Input of button. Let me select it and see what is giving me. So input type equal to button. Value equal to value is this time the text that it will show on the button. The text that it will show. So I want it to show submit like that. I will save it, and then I will come and check it down here what is happening, and then I can see it here. I want this input, this submit, to be under, not beside this one. So what can I use to break the line and come to the next line? Can you guess it? Anybody? Can you guess what I will use to break the line and come to the next line? If I want to wait for you, we are going to wait for so long because I think the thing is having a kind of delay. It's having a kind of delay. So I'm going to do it now. Before the button, I want to have maybe line breaks. Let's have line breaks. Once I do one line break, it's going to take it to the next line like this now, you see. Then I will put another line break there again so that it can still give it a bit of a space. Now, a bit of a space. Okay, now this submit button now shows that, but it's giving me type of button. We don't normally use type of button. We use type of, so we have different types of inputs. Okay. Okay, let me see if there is input of submit there. This one is not correct for submission. It's just like a normal button. Input. Let's see, there should be input of submit. If it's not there, we have to create a button ourselves. Input of submit is there. Good. Input of submit. Now check the difference between the two. What's the difference? The difference is this. Type here is button. Type here is submit. We use type of submit inside a form for you so that it can submit something to the server. When you do type of submit, it will submit that, it will pick it up and submit it. But when you do type of button, it will not submit. It's just as if you want to click to do something. Maybe you want to change the color of something, or you want to send something to, you want to double click or open a folder. That's the work of this one. That's the work of this one. So it has to be type of submit, the one that will submit your form, and it must be inside a form tag for it to work. Okay, so now this form now, this button now is going to submit. Now that we have a submit button, let's go and see what will happen if I put Esther here, I put Thomas here, I put Anyton here. Esther, Thomas, Anyton there, and then I want to submit it. Come and see what will happen. What is it saying? Please include an at in the email address. Anything is missing an at because it knows that there must be an at in email, and we have already specified that that particular field there must be an email. We have said it right here that it must be an email. So it's now wondering, how do you type email without putting at there? So that was what happened in that. That is why it is important for you to use type of email for your email field. It helps in validation because users can actually enter rubbish into your form and then push that rubbish to the server. The server will be confused, not knowing how to process them. So you need to put validations in your form to help the user to do the correct thing. Another validation that we normally put is this. Assuming we have how many fields now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Eight fields. If you want your user to fill everything before they submit it, before they can be able to submit, you want them to fill everything, what do? Just come here. Let's say you don't want them to be able to submit if they don't put their first name there because it is compulsory. You will come here and you put another attribute again. The attribute is called required. As you begin to type required, it's going to give you this option. And then you choose this one, just like that. When you save it, when you save that to require, the form cannot save unless you put something inside this type equal to first name. Let's check it out. This is first name here. It is blank. I've not put anything there. So let's try and click submit. What is it saying? Please fill out this field. Please fill out this field. And that's because of this required that I put here. So you can put this required on every one of them to let the user know that they will not be allowed to submit until they fill all the forms. So required is used as another form of validation to let the user fill all the forms that are compulsory in the form before being allowed to click submit. Okay, I think we have done a lot of work on our form today, but there is one last part of the form that we have not talked about, which is drop down. Most of you have seen drop down before. You have seen drop down before, drop down menu whereby a user can click and then it will scroll down and then you can pick one of the items. So let's come here. Let's say instead of age of numbers like this, you want to use age. You want them to be able to click and then it will scroll down for them to pick the age. So let's come here where we put age, the last place here. Instead of using type equal to number, I'm going to comment this one out, and then I'm going to be using that drop down. That drop down is called select. When you begin to type select, it's going to give you this option. Just choose the first one. Choose the first one like that. For now, still ignore the name and ID. We know, see, if you save this one now, what you see on the screen is like this. You can see this one, this arrow here, and then no, there is no that thing. It's not giving any information. So you need a kind of list inside this thing that you can scroll and get. You can scroll it and get and get your options and select one. So how do we get those options? Inside this select, you will open it up and begin to type options. Option is what you now use to specify what value will be, what are the options that you want inside the select. So let's say the value of this one is 1. You now come here and say the 1 will show. Whatever you put here at the middle is what will show here. If I don't put anything there, it will not show. For example now, 1 will show here because I've already put 1. If I didn't put any 1 here, if I remove this one now and I save it, it will not show. You see now, it's not showing. So it is what you put at this middle that will show. But the server will have this value here that, okay, the person is picking 1. So we normally put the same value that we put as this value. We normally put the same thing inside the option. So I'm going to put 1 here. I will just Ctrl+C+V so that I can change all of them at a go. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here 1, 2, 3. This one is really not economical for numbers. It's so hard for numbers. There are a lot of places where it can be very useful. We want them to be able to scroll and pick something like this. And you see now, so if I want, instead of me writing one here, if I want this one to be vegetable, I want this one to be a 40 row, I want this one to be ogbono, I want this one to be edikaikong, I want this one to be okra soup, and I want this one to be begiri. By the time you save it, it is what you put at this middle that will show on the screen, not the 1, 2, 3 again. Can you see now? It is this one that will show, and you are free to choose any one of them, and then it will now, whatever you have chosen has already been noted by the server and by your form. So when you click on submit, it will package them and send them to the server for you. Okay, we have covered. Please be packaging your questions. There will be time for questions once I'm done. We've talked about radio buttons. We've talked about checkboxes. We've talked about placeholders. We talked about different type of inputs. Input of text, input of number, input of password, input of email. We talked about other attributes also, apart from input, apart from type. Input attributes like required, that we use to let the user know that he cannot leave the form unfilled and then submit. He cannot leave a particular field unfilled. He has to fill it like this required. It's a prop. It's an attribute that we use this attribute to let the user know that he must fill the form compulsorily. Okay, having said that, let's try and apply some small CSS. Small. You will be the one to go back and do the remaining CSS by yourself. But let me try and do small. Let me work on this submit button. Submit button. So I will come here. Before I go there, let me look at the submit button. Submit button, we used, what did we use for the submit button? We use input type equal to submit. What is the other way to get it? Let me take this one out and do the other way for you. We have what we call button. So button like this. Put submit there. And then you must put this type equal to submit also there. So Control C, and then you come here and put this. So this will be another button also. It's also submitting. It's also submitting. So you can use this approach of input, and if you don't remember this one, just type your button, but make sure that the type is submit. So I'm going to need only one of them. Now, if I go to CSS now and I pick button, whatever I type there will affect all the buttons in my project. I don't want that to happen because I already have a button here that I don't want anything to tamper with. So what will I do to be able to pick this particular button alone? I'm going to use either ID or class. Today, let me use ID. I think we used a lot of class in the last class. So I'm going to be using ID today. ID equal to submit. That's the value I'm giving to the ID. And I'm going to be using this ID of submit to pick it up in CSS in style sheet, CSS file, and write something. So I'm going to be using this ID of submit. Remember that I said if you are using a class equal to dot, and ID, what does ID equal? Anyone? ID equal hash sign or pound sign. That is ID. Okay. So if I want to pick this ID now, ID of submit, I'll come to CSS and say I want to select ID of submit. ID of submit is what I want to pick. So I will just open it up like that. And I'll begin to try and put things that will make the button to look better. Let me put padding so that you can see how padding works again. Padding will make the thing to blow up. So padding like let's say 10 pixels. We normally use padding small. It doesn't have to be big. But now I don't like the way it is looking. The way it is looking, I want my button to be a bit wider than it is than the height. So the padding Okay, let me explain this padding. You see this padding, there are 4 types of padding. We have padding top, we have padding top, we have padding left. Let me just type padding here so that I can show you padding. As you pick padding like this, you see we have padding left, we have padding top, we have padding bottom, and we have padding right. 4 directions for the padding. So the moment you put padding of 10 here, when you put padding of 10 here, it's going to use 10 for all of them. So padding top is going to be 10, padding bottom is going to be 10 also, padding left is also 10, padding right is also 10. So if I want a different value for all of them, I want a different value for top and bottom and a different value for left and right. This is what I will do. I will do like this: 10 pixel, 10 pixel, 10 pixel, and then 10 pixel. This will show that this will be the same thing as me writing 10 pixel only in one place, like I wrote it the last time. So when I save it now, you will see no change. It will be the same thing. Now let me begin to change it. This one is for the top. This one is for top and top and top and right, bottom and left. Yes. So let me change this one to 20. Let me change so that you can see the work very well. Let me put 30 there, 30, and then it's looking like that. You can see that the right now is wider than the left. The submit itself is not staying at the middle again. Let me change the one to the left also to 30, and then it's going to be at the middle now, because we are now having 30 for left and right, and then we are having 10 for top and bottom. I think it's at the middle. Yes, it's at the middle. But there's a shortcut to writing these 4 things on the screen. So you can just do padding, then the first one you write will be for top and bottom, while the second one you write will be for left and right. 10 pixel, 30 pixel, which is still going to be the same thing. If I change it to 30 and 10, see what will happen. 30 and 10. Save it, and this is what you are going to be having. And that is not what we want. What we want is that to look like before. I want it to be wide, as to be wider than its height. So I'm going to put 10 here for top and bottom, and then 30 here for left and right. By the time I save it, I have this. Another thing I can do is background color. Background color, or let me use linear gradient this time. Background, linear gradient, linear gradient, linear gradient. And then I'll just select these 2 colors that here is picking them from the things I've been able to write on my system before. So when you two begin to write very well, there will be a lot of things to pick from. Let me save this one so that we can see how it is looking. Okay, I like the way it's looking. I like it. I want the text in this thing to be white. So I'll come here and say color. Color is white. FFF. That is white. I want the color. I want the text to become bold. So I will say font weight. To make it bold, you use font weight like this one. Then you select bold. Font weight bold. When you save it, you are going to see that it has become bolder. Now, what do I do to this black line that is here? This black line that is surrounding it. Border. I don't want border there. Let me say border none. Border none. Border none. Remember to always put your semicolon at the end of every CSS line. The border none has gone. I hope you saw it. Let me bring it back. It's there now. And by the time I open the none and save it, it will go away. Then I don't want the edges to be sharp like this. Let me make the edges to become smooth. Let me make the edges to become smooth. So let's have, we call that one border radius. I've shown you that one earlier this week. Border radius. Then you can give it a value. And give it a value. Let's see. Let me just type a value. Let's say 7 pixels. So it's usually small values that you give to border radius. Okay. Border radius. So that is how my button will be looking. It's beautiful, right? Is my button beautiful? Thank you so much. I know you were able to get that. It is Ash for ID. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, we are going to be doing quiz today. We are going to be doing quiz today. and I'm also attending to questions. Get your questions ready from everything you have been seeing since today or since the time we started. I'm going to be answering the questions today in this live session. Okay? If you don't answer, if you don't ask now, please don't enter my DM. All right. What else should I style? What else should I style? Let me style this one. This first name and this box. Assuming I don't want them to be under each other like this. I want them to be beside each other so that it will be first name, then this input box beside it. What do? I will go to where they are, where we have the input, first name, and the input. It's here. Okay. Normally in form, we don't use this P for label. We use what we call label. There's label tag, but I don't want you to get so complicated so that your head will not be full. So that your head will not be too full. I'm trying to use what we have learned before to make the thing work for us. So now, I want this one to be beside this one. What do? I need to put them inside a container. Then I can now use that container to control their flow. The container we normally use is div. You have seen it before now. Good. Div like this. And I'm going to just cut this one away from here. And I'm going to paste it inside this div like this. I will save. And this is what I've done. I've put it inside a div. So to use CSS for it now, there will be no change here on the browser for now. There will be no change. But I'm going to give it a class because I'm going to CSS now to go and pick it. So I will say class, maybe first name, first-name. Then I'll come to CSS and I want to pick a class of first name. That is dot first-name. Dot must be there if you are using a class. If dot is not there, it will not work. What I want is that for them to be beside each other, then I must use display. Let me try and control the display. As you begin to type display, it will show you this one. You click on it and then you select flex. I've already explained flex to you, that flex will make things to be beside each other instead of for them to stay on top of each other. So when I save this one now, you can see they are already beside each other. They're already beside each other. So what else can I do? I can make the I can make this input not to have these sharp edges. So let me come here. I want to affect this input. There are two ways to do it. I can give it its own class. I'll just come here and type class like this, and then I'll give it a class. Then I will go and use that class to style it. Another way to do it is that I can pick the input that is inside first name. The input that is inside first name. So how will I do that? I will just say the first name is the parent, right? First name is the parent, greater than, you remember the drill? If you want to do something that is inside of something, then you use greater than input to show that you want to pick the input that is inside first name class. Now you put your curly brace, and then I want to change the edges. I don't want it to be this sharp. What do? Border radius of 10 pixels. When I save it, it's going to look like this. Let me try and put gap between this one and the input field so that they will be spread apart. How do I do that? I will go to where I put the display of flex and say I want gap in this container. Let that be gap of 20 pixels and save. And by the time you finish saving, you will be able to see that your input is already looking like this. Let me affect the paragraph that is there too. How do I affect the paragraph? I can say, now this thing I want to write now, I want it to affect all the paragraph inside this form. This one and this one, because they are the same thing. All the paragraphs inside this form. To affect this one too. Okay, let's say I want to affect all the paragraphs inside this form. What do? This is the form. And inside it, I have plenty paragraphs. I want to pick all of them together and do this thing to them. So I will just say form. Form is not a class, so I will not put dot. I will just say form. Then inside the form, any paragraph you see there, give it this one that I want to say. Let me change the font size. Font size Font size, let's make it 18 pixels. Save it and see what happens. Make it 24 pixels. Save, and then that's how it's happening. Okay. Another thing that we want to do is I want to change the bold. I want them to become bolder. So font weight. You see, we have, once you type font, you will see a lot of things that you can do for font. This is font size, this is font family, this is font weight. So let's use font weight now. I've already used font weight today, but I'm going to do it again now. Let's say font weight is let's use 500. Font 500 is medium. 500 is medium. Medium is not showing very well. You won't see it. Let's do 600 semi-bold. 600 is semi-bold, and then it's looking like this now. What else can we do? Let's go to that same font and change the family. Font family means you want to change the handwriting. So it will give you a lot of options like this. You choose any one that you want. Let's say I want to choose cursive, and then you save it, and then it's going to look like this. So you can change the handwriting of whatever it is that is showing on the screen using font family. It doesn't have to be cursive. You can choose any one of them. There are plenty of them. Once you put that colon there, if it disappears, just press backspace and type it like this again, select it, and then it will give you the options again. So you can keep on looking at which one that you want. But for me, as for me and my house, we're going to be using cursive. So I will save, and the form is looking better than the plain text that we have before. And you notice that first name here is not affected. Why? You notice this P has taken effect. This one has taken effect. It has taken effect here too. Why is this one not following? After all, it's also inside the form. Why is it not following this rule that we have here? Why is it not following the rule? Okay. The reason why it's not following the rule, I'm going to explain to you now. The reason is because here in our HTML, we have already put this P inside another div. So it's not directly inside the form again. So to be able to pick this P, it will be first name, it will be P that is inside first name that is now inside form. You see now the progression. So but instead of doing that, I can just say first name with P. First name of P. So I want to give all these things to also first name of P. I want to put everything that I have here to this one again. Is it wise for me to start typing them again? No, now, because they are the same thing. You know, I want to put everything like this again. It does not make sense. So what do? I'm going to say form more than P is the first thing that you apply this thing to. There's another thing that I want you to apply it to. Apply it to this guy. But I will now separate them with a comma. I will cut this one off and come here and say form more than P, comma. Then I will put the second one there. That these two apply the style to them. And by the time I save this one, I should have the first name also getting its own share of the national cake. Okay. What else can we do? This input field is too high. Let me control the height of that input field that we have up there. Input height. Let's just say height. Let's make the height 20 pixels. Okay, what are it just? Okay, 20 pixels. Let's save it. And then it's looking like this now. Let's make it 40. It's looking like this. Now you will see that it is not aligned. It's not aligned. This one is down below, while this one is on top. The input is on top. This one is down below. How do I make them stay at the middle of each other? Then I have to come back to where I put the display. I said display them as flex. This is where I'm controlling them to say they must stay beside each other. I'm going to still control them here for them to stay at the middle of each other here by using what we call align items. Align items. When you begin to type align, it gives you this option. The one you want to choose is this one, align items. Then you choose center. When you choose that, you save it, and then you will see that they are very, very well aligned now. They are very well aligned now. So this is how you align things on your web page. You see this display flex. If you know how to use this display flex, oh my God. In fact, one of your, I mean, you have covered like 10% of your journey of being a front-end developer. Because to position things on the screen is a challenge if you don't know the right tools to use. Flex and grid are the things we normally use to give us that kind of flexibility. Flex and grid. Flex and grid. So I'm teaching you flex now. Later on, when I say that you are more comfortable with flex, we will now go to grid and start using grid also. But right now we are using flex, and this is how it works. You can see how it has helped us to shape this one already. So I will expect you now to go back into your shelter and practice all these things. Do this thing for all the input fields. Arrange them. You can arrange this VS Code to be beside this one, stuff like that. Change their sizes, change their font face, that is font family, and then style your button very well. I can let my form as a, I can let it have a border. This form here, let me try and give it a border. So I'll come here and say form. Let's have a border for you. Border 2 pixel, solid, solid. This one, go. And when I do that, it's going to look like this for me. So you can say that a lot of things that you can do on a lot of things you can use CSS for on your, in your web development. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Let's go to questions. Do we have questions already? Start dropping your question in the chat. Start dropping your question, and after the question and answer, we will go into our quiz for today. Start dropping your question as I look for 1 or 2 things to add to this one again. Please drop your question. I want to show you 1 or 2 things again inside the form. Now, assuming you have filled everything, you have filled. Let's say Tokotaya, Alomaja, Indomie at gmail.com. Password, bank password. I won't tell you that one so that you will not hack my bank password. Your favorite editor, of course, I'm using VS Code. Select 2 favorite sports. I will do chess and table tennis. Good. I don't like any sport that is stressful. Then share your story. The story is awesome. And then age, let's say Ogbono is the age. You're supposed to change that one from age to something else. Now, there's another thing that I want to show now. That is why I filled all these things. You know, you might make a mistake so much in your form. Maybe there are like 50 fields, and you want to actually restart all over again. You have messed up a lot of options. You want to restart all over again. If you don't put that option there for your users, they will not be able to use it. How do you allow them to click just one button and then the form will go back to how it was originally? The way we do that is by using another button that we call reset button. This button here is submit button because of this type equal to submit. Then let me create another one. Let me create another one like this. I just copied and pasted. So when you paste, you put your cursor on this line, you press Ctrl C, you go to the next line, you press Ctrl V, it will copy that previous line on that line. For example, now, if I want to copy this line on the next line, I'll just press Ctrl C now, then I will come here and say Ctrl V. It will just paste the line for me. I don't have to start dragging and selecting in VS Code. Now, this button, the type is not going to be submit. Come and see the different types that we have saved. So as you type type and you press enter, you are going to see them here. You see, we have type of button, we have type of menu, we have type of reset, we have type of submit. Submit is that first one that we use. Now I want to use reset. So when you have reset and then you save it, you are going to be seeing, okay, I don't want submit inside, I want to reset inside. Reset the form. It will show reset the form. Reset the form. Save. And then I'll be expecting a form here that is also carrying this one. You will notice that it's having the same style as this one because I styled button. The style I used was for button. Button. Okay. ID, hashtag of submit. hashtag of submit. This one is also having ID of submit, but we don't use ID in two places in the same in the same project. So because I'm using the two of them now, I'm going to change this ID to class. ID will become confusing when you begin to interact with the server. The server will not know what is what. So class of submit, and because I have used class of submit now, it's no longer working again. I have to come back here and change it from ID style to dot sign so that it can carry it now. Now it will carry it. Do we have questions already? Okay. We have a question. Minimum or maximum selection for checkboxes. Okay, I'm coming. Let me see this one. So let's see how to use, let's see whether the reset button is now working now or not. I'm going to be putting Pinky Balosi pinky@gmail.com. Then password, I will not tell you what the password is. Your favorite editor, this one. Then select your two favorite spots. You can have table tennis. You can choose your own. No, I'm choosing mine. Please don't judge me. Please share your story. Everlasting story. Everlasting. You remember when we are in school? Everlasting story. Okay. Let's choose something here. Now, I've messed up the form. I want to restart all over again. And I can just click reset form and everything will go back to how it was. You can see that all the thing has gone away. All the forms are filled has gone. That's the work of this reset button right here. So that will be the last thing I'll be sharing with us today. Let's practice it over the weekend and let's come up with problems. As you begin to practice, you will face some challenges which you will have. Then you can bring them in the next class, in the next live class, which is on Monday afternoon. Please don't enter my DM. I'm busy. Okay, let's see who has a question. How do we give minimum or maximum selection for checkboxes? Checkboxes, which are these ones. Checkboxes are this: table tennis, football, chess, basketball. You want to give minimum or maximum. Now, what you can use right now is JavaScript. You can use JavaScript to make your user to give to force him to pick at least one of them. You can use JavaScript for that. But you can also use required in the let's go to where the where the something is. This is your two favorite spots, right? Two favorite spots. Here. Checkboxes. Okay, checkboxes. And then input, type equal to checkbox. Oh, you cannot, we are grouping them together. Okay, it's checkbox. Okay, you cannot, because they are not grouped together. So what you can use is JavaScript, and that is beyond the scope of this training. JavaScript is a programming language, and it makes web development very, very interesting. You can manipulate things that you are seeing here. You can manipulate them in ways, unimaginable ways, that in many ways. So you can use JavaScript to say, okay, if a user has clicked on submit and he has not clicked any one of these, return it. Don't go. You can say if the user has clicked up to 2, don't allow him to click the third one. Whatever make him to click the third one, switch the previous one he clicked with that third one. You can use JavaScript for that. JavaScript is what you can use. It's not HTML that you will use for that one. But these are the things that HTML will be able to help you to do. So sorry that HTML could not help you in that regard. Okay, let's go to the next question. The H selection drop-down is not bringing all the options on a row. Is that an error? H selection drop-down is not bringing all the options on a row. It's not an error. H selection drop-down. Let me see. H selection drop-down is like is this one. It's not bringing all the options. These are all the options now. Do you want them to be on a row? No, it will not be in a row. It's a drop down. So because it's a drop down, it will flow down like this. Or what do you mean? Because I'm seeing all the options that we have. All the options we have are, these are all the options we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are seeing the 6 here. Vegetable, Eforiro is the one that you pick that will stay here. Once you pick one, it's going to stay there. Then if you want to pick another one, you can scroll it again and choose another one. It is the one that you pick that is going to go there. Who else? Have I answered that question? Or it's not bringing all the options on a row. On a row. No, I don't think. I don't think you. I think I've answered. I have answered what you meant. I think I've answered what you meant. Any more question before we go into our quiz today? Any more question? I mean on the actual site. On the site. Yes, now. Okay. Do you mean on the finished project or this sample I'm showing you on the left? Is it this low is on the live server? It's not showing it on a row. I mean on the actual site. What is the meaning of actual site? Is it this display that we are seeing here on the browser? If it is this display that we are seeing here on the browser, I just showed it now that it is. Is it not showing when I bring it out? Let me see. It should show now. It should show. Yes, on the live server. It's showing. Why is it not showing there? When I click on this drop down, it opens. It should open too. Let me wait for it and see. Let me wait for it and see. It should open. When I click on this thing, you mean it's not opening? Somebody should confirm that they are unable to see that the drop down is not opening. Okay, it's not opening. Wow, but it's opening here. I'm seeing it. So sorry about that. I am seeing it. Maybe it's not being captured because of the way I am streaming. Because of the way I'm streaming, that's why it is not captured. I expect it to arrange all the options on a line. Well, if you are using select, it will not arrange it on a line. But there are other ways. There are different things that you can do. There are different ways to create select. Right now, we don't use this select. We don't use select to do drop down again. We don't use select to do drop down. No, what we use for drop down, we use div, and then we use absolute positioning to do our something. It is the transition. Oh, what is the transition that is making it not to show? I didn't apply on this one. I didn't apply transition. It's supposed to show. I can see that it's not showing really. It's not showing in the stream. It's not showing in the stream. But don't worry, when you begin to use it, you will see that it is showing on your own. Okay, transition on the live stream. Okay. So that is why it's not showing. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that, people. Okay. Do we have any more question? So to answer your question, it cannot be when you select Mr. Thomas, it cannot be on a straight line. It will be on it will be under each other in a drop down. That's why it's called drop down. In fact, sometimes we call it select drop down. So drop down cannot be drop wide again. It can't have two names. So if you want your own option to be on a straight line, you will have to design it yourself, which you can do now that you know how to use flex. Try and think of a way to arrange it on a straight line, and then if you are stuck at some point, bring it up next week, screenshot it and show us, or you screenshot it and paste it on the group so that we can see it and somebody can be able to help. Any more question? Thank you so much. It shows here. Okay, it's showing on your side there. Okay, thank you so much. Then thank you so much. Then I think we are fine. Okay, we are fine. So we are fine. Somebody said the drop down is showing on their side. All right, I think we are ready for our quiz now. Or do we have anyone with question? Some people are just coming in. Did you come in because of question? If you are here because of question, please drop your question now before we move away. If you are here to drop question, please drop your question before we move away to the quiz. And if there is no question, let me begin to get our link. Or do you still have the link? If you still have the link, you can begin to use it. But I'm going to be pasting the link now. So while I paste the link, please give me like 1 minute to just have a timeout. 1 minute, please. Okay, I am back, and um, I want to I want to give us the link to be able to join the to be able to join be able to join the quiz. I copied the link just now. Okay. Okay, I pasted the link on the group chat. You can pick it up there, please. Pick up the link on the group chat. On the Yes, that is the link there. Okay, are we coming in already? Yes, we have 3 people inside already. You are already coming in. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. I'll be displaying the screen in a moment. Let's go to the screen now. Okay, that is our screen, and let me just be sure that we are able to see what we should see. We have how many people in the room now? We still have 3 people. Others are having network issues, right? Please try again before we start this. You don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss this. Click the link. I've already shared the link in the YouTube chat. I also shared it on our WhatsApp group. I shared it on our WhatsApp group. What about where the forms go to for actions? Okay, I will answer you. Where the forms go to for actions is the back end. And where the form go to for actions. After you fill the form and you click on submit, the form understand that it must package all the information you have entered and send it somewhere. And you have already put that information in the action attribute that we talked about at first. I don't know if you were late to the class or not, but if you were early, you will see that we talk about action and method. That action is where the form will go to after it is filled. So that's where they will go to, but it's not on the front end. It's beyond the scope of this training. If you want to learn that one, come and register for a full front end training. We will talk about that one. How many people do we have now? We have 4 people. Thomas, Ainayodeji, Jay, Afolabi, Esther, Opeoluwa. Is that all we are going to be having? Is anyone joining again? 4 people, only 4 people are here now. Okay, without wasting our time, let's move on to the very first question. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let me believe that there is no other person that is joining again. We have 4 people. Okay, let's go. First question is up. You have 20 seconds right now. What does the forms tag in HTML define? The forms tag. The forms tag. It's a tricky question. I hope. So, if the forms tag, what is the answer? 75% of us chose a form, while someone chose none of the above. Who is correct? Let's see who is correct. The correct answer to that question is none of the above, because I use forms, not form. You see, forms is different from form. These forms, we don't use it. It is form that we use. And you see that I've been using form since we have been working. So let's see our leaderboard for this one. I hope I've explained well. Forms, there is S at the end, and S is not supposed to be at the end. So the correct answer is none of the above. So let's see who got it right. Thomas got it right. Others missed it. So Thomas is leading. Thomas, you are leading. Congratulations for being the first winner of today. All right. Let's go to the next question. Question number 2. Which attribute of the form tag specifies where to send the form data when the form is submitted? 15 seconds. 8 seconds. 3 seconds. And time is up. Time is up. Let's have our responses. Okay. We have action, we have method, we have target. What is the correct answer? I just explained it right now. I explained it a while ago while explaining Thomas's question. That action is what specifies maybe the person came late. That's why you are not supposed to be coming late. Okay. Now, action is what we put on the form to specify where the form will be going to after the user click on submit. Action. So it will take that action on the form. Take the action on the form. Who is leading now on our leaderboard? We have Thomas still leading on our leaderboard until he misses a question, and then but it's closely followed by Aino Ayodeji and followed by Afolabi Esther. Let's move on to the next question. Question 3 of 20. Which attribute specifies the HTTP method to use when sending form data? I talked about 2 types of method that we use, but which attribute of the form specifies that method? Okay, 60% chose action, 20% chose method, and 20% chose target again. So, what is the correct answer? Correct answer is method. Method is the correct answer. You see, when you have a form, we talk about 2 things, 2 attributes at the beginning of the class today. We said there is action and there is a method. That method is the one that specifies the method to use to send it. By default, for a form, it will be method equal to post, because you have to post the form. You are not getting it. It's just get and post method that can work in the, that are 2 most common methods. But for any form, the most common method will be to post. There are other methods too, like put and patch, but the most common method is post. You have created a new data, you want to post it to the server. So that attribute is, we set it inside method. Who is leading in the leaderboard? I know Ayodeji is leading in the leaderboard. Fastest finger, though closely followed by Thomas, and then Afolabi Esther, and then Ede Chukuma and Jay. They are closely following. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see who is going to lead finally today. The next question is coming up. You have 20 seconds. Ten seconds left. What can we use to allow a user type an information inside our form? Inside our form. Only 3 people voted. Why? Okay, we all chose, we got my bait and we all skipped it and chose the correct one. The answer is correct. The answer is input. Input is the correct answer. The only problem now is the fastest finger. Let's see who is still leading. Thomas got it back from Aino Ayodeji and closely followed by Afolabi Esther. So let's move to the next question. Ede Chukuma is not picking. Perhaps network is worrying our location. The next question is coming up right now. Go. You have 20 seconds. Which attribute specifies the kind of input field to display? The kind of input field. We have different types of input field, but the type, the kind of input that you want, which one of these will do that for us? Time is up, and we add 4 votes. Okay, we had 4 votes. 25% chose name, 50% chose type, and 25% chose value again. Okay, the correct answer is type. You know, when we say input type equal to text, type equal to password, type equal to number, type equal to email. We use this type to specify the kind of input that we want because we have different types of inputs. Yeah. So it is the type that helps us to do that. Who is leading? I know that is the most important thing to you guys. Who is who is leading? Let's go. Who is leading? Thomas is still leading, closely followed by Aina Ayodeji, and then Afolabi Esther Opoluwa is following. Ede Chukuma has come back with, I believe, network is now okay, and I'll be expecting you to also be shooting up anytime soon. Chukuma, please shoot up, surprise me, okay? All right, let's move on to the next question. You have 20 seconds. The correct tag that allows user create a large block of text in a form is what? 10 seconds left. And then final whistle is blown. We have only 3 responses. Okay, we all chose, not we all, 7% chose text area, while 33% chose text box. What is the correct answer? Text area is the correct answer. We did it today. We worked it today. I practiced it. I practicalized it today. It is called text area. And then I said it can have column and it can have row by default. And you can remove. You saw how it will look also when you remove it. Let's see who is leading. Thomas is still leading and closely followed by Aina Ayodeji by just 4 seconds. So total, Aina Ayodeji has used 4 seconds more than Thomas. Afolabi Esther has used 17 seconds, 16 seconds more than Thomas. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now, you have 20 seconds. Which attribute specifies a default value for the input field? A default value for the input field. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. This one, I am not sure I explained it, but let's see who will get it. Who will get it? Who got it? Who got it? Okay. We have 30% chose value, 67% chose placeholder. I asked for default value for the input field. This is a bit confusing, right? I did not cover it, actually. I did not cover it. Placeholder is different from default value. Actually, the fields can have default value. I'll quickly explain after this quiz. I will explain it. But sorry about that. You missed this one. Let's see what's the correct answer. The correct answer is value. Value is the correct answer. You can use value to specify what will be the default value of an input field. Let's see who is leading in terms of speed and time. Okay, Thomas is still leading. Thomas is still leading. Let's move on to the next question now. The next question, question 8 of 20. Which of the following can be used to submit a form? 19, 17, 16 seconds left. Will you push it? Will you use a link? Can you use a button or an image? What will you use to submit a form? We have 4 votes already. And time is up. Time is up. 5 votes or 5 votes in total. Okay, somebody chose a link and others chose a button. And let's see who is correct. Who is correct? A button is what we use to submit a form. I showed us today how to create the button. You can use input type equal to button to create a button, and you can use button tag itself to create a button. But you must put type equal to submit in the form, in the button, so that it can know that the form can know that this is the button that I'll be watching out for to send this form. So button is the correct answer, please. Button to send a form. Let's see who is leading. Thomas is still leading. He is not agreeing for anybody. Not agreeing for anybody. Let's move on to the next question. You have 20 seconds. The attribute that helps the user know what the field is meant for. What it is meant for. Which attribute is that? Okay, our votes have come in and we had 5 out of 7. So 60% chose placeholder and 40% chose information text. I believe those that chose information text, they came late for the training. Please don't come late again, please, because I have explained this today. I explained today, and there's no way you would miss it if you were there. The correct answer is placeholder. Placeholder is the correct answer, and let's see who is still leading. Thomas is still leading. Afolabi Esther is also okay. So Afolabi Esther has gotten 6 questions correctly, and their timing is only what is separating first from second from third now. The timing that they have used to solve to answer the questions. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 10 of 20. 10 of 20. Five seconds left. Yes, the backend developer works hand in hand with front end. Exactly. So 10 of 20 questions. Okay. Question 10. Which element is used to create a multi-line text input? Multi-line text input. We use input for a single line and we use text area for multi-line. So what is the correct answer? It is text area. Text area is for multi-line. It means you want them to write in the story of their life. The story of their life, as you saw in this place. The story of their life there. Okay? So who is leading? I know is leading. We have a new topper. We have a new topper. So closely followed by Thomas, and then closely followed by Afolabi Esther Olua. Okay. All right, guess more, keep guessing. Whatever you want to do, keep guessing. It's an objective question. There's nothing we can do. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Are you ready? Question 11 of 20. 11 of 20, you have 20 seconds and it starts now. Ten seconds left. 4 seconds left. 2 seconds. 1. And then time is up. Let's have our submission. Our submission, all of us use required. I guess I gave the answer away anyway. So let's look at the correct answer is required. What is the fastest finger saying? I know Ayodeji is still leading. While Thomas is closely following. Thomas and Afolabi Esther are on the same line right now. Gideon has joined us. Thank you so much, Gideon, for joining. Temidayo is also back from network wahala. All right, let's move on to the next question. I know it's not going to grieve for anybody again. Okay, the next question is coming up now. 20 seconds. Ten seconds left. Time is up. Okay, what does the placeholder attribute do in a form element? I guess this one is a bit confusing. So I can see a lot of people chose. They said it adds a label to the input field. It provides a hint to the user about what to enter, and it sets the default value of the input field. The correct answer is this one is the correct answer. It provides a hint to the user about what to put in that field. It gives him it gives him like a hint. This one is for first name. Enter your first name. Enter your bank information. That's the correct answer. Let's move on to the leaderboard. Thomas is back. Thomas is back. I guess that question was so tricky, thinking about it, and then Thomas took it. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is question 13 of 20. Question 13 of 20. 20 seconds. Five seconds left. And then time is up. Time is up. Okay, time is up now. Let's have our submission. And 80% chose submit. Where's the remaining 20% now? Okay, what's the correct answer? Okay, 20% chose button. Okay, 20% chose button. So the correct answer is what was the answer there? Thomas is still leading. Thomas is leading and closely followed by Aino Ayodeji. And then Aino Ayodeji and Afolabi Esther are on the same league, following after each other. And we are going to see who's going to take the second place today in this quiz competition. We are going to question number 14 out of 20. And that is showing on your screen right now. 20 seconds, start now. Which element is used to create a drop-down list? A drop-down list. To create the drop-down that you will see it, drop-down, what is the element? Which element do we use to create a drop-down? The correct answer is 75% chose select, while 25% chose option. What is the correct one? Select is the correct answer. Select. We use select to create a drop-down list. Select. We now put options inside it, but it is select that ultimately create the drop-down. Options are just the different menus that we now be seeing. So who is leading now? Thomas is still leading, and I know they are on 9 questions, while Afolabi Esther is on 8 questions correctly and answered correctly from the 14 questions. Keep it up, girl. You can still do it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 15 of 20. 15 of 20. I gave this one 30 seconds, so you still have a lot of seconds. Ten seconds left. And then time is up now. Time is up now. Let's have our submission. We have our submission. We all got it correctly. Checkbox is the one that you can use to select multiple answers. But who got it first is still leading. Thomas and I know are on 10 questions, while Afolabi Esther is on 9 questions answered correctly. Victor Olumide Gideon has answered 5 questions correctly. And Temidayo, I guess because of network and she came in late into the quiz, so she has answered 3 questions correctly. Let's move on to the next question, which is question 16 of 20. What attribute is required to group radio buttons together? I remember I explained that one also. Okay. Let's see what attribute is required to group radio buttons together. We use 40% chose ID, another 40% chose name, and then 20% chose type. To group radio buttons together, we use ID. To group radio buttons together, oh, the correct answer is name, man. The correct answer is name. Use name to group them together. This is a wrong answer. We use name to group them together, not ID. Sorry about that. We are going to nullify this question. The correct answer is name. But who got it first? And now we are now giving so sorry about that, so sorry about that, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, so sorry, please pardon me. We have 11 10 9 now, and I'm sure that is because of that one. The correct answer is name. Name to group radio buttons together. It was name. I mentioned name, and it was just a slip of tongue, a slip of hand when filling the questions in. So sorry about that, please pardon me. The next question, 17 of 20. You have 20 seconds. We have 3 responses already. Time is up. Time is up. So, 33% chose the first option, option A, while 7% chose the last option, option C. What is the correct option? The last one is the correct one. Input, the type is going to be password. Then you can add a placeholder there to show, to let the user know that it's going to be a password also. But this first one, type equal to text, will not give you password at all. It will not give you a password field. It's going to give you a text field for you to type and see what you are typing. Password field, we don't want to see what we are typing. Okay, let's see who is still leading. Thomas is still leading with 12 questions, followed by Aina Yodeji, 11 questions. Afolabi Esther is not relenting, getting 9 questions correctly out of 17. Let's move on to the next question, which is question 18 of 20. You have 20 seconds now. Time is up. Let's have our submission. Thank you so much. Time is up. Time is up. Which of the following will correctly submit a form? Which of them will correctly submit a form? So to be able to correctly submit a form, we need to put type equal to submit there, and then so let's see what the correct answer is. The last one is the correct answer. The last one is the correct answer, and let's see who is leading. Thomas is still leading. And Adeja has caught up with 12 questions, 12 questions answered correctly out of 18, while Afolabi Esther, he said she is relenting already, but she has gotten 9 out of 18 questions. Okay, let's move on to the second to the last question for today. Second to the last question, question 19 of 20. You have 20 seconds now. We have this question. Time is up. Let's have our responses. Okay. Reset type equal to button is definitely not correct. Button type equal to reset is definitely the correct answer, but I put it twice. Let me see. Okay, so those that chose option B, congratulations. Thank you that nobody chose option C, because it would have caused issues. Button type equal to reset is the correct answer. Button type is reset. We have type of submit, we have type of reset, we have type of button. But type of reset will reset the form. Remember, I showed us today how to create that reset button, and I use it to actually reset the form. When you click it, it will take all the values away and reset the form. So the last question of the day, 20 of 20. Before we go there, who is leading? Thomas is still leading, but closely followed by Aina Yodeji, and this last question can actually be a deciding factor in today's quiz. Let's see the last question. Please be ready. You will have 20 seconds, and the fastest finger may just take that first position again. 20 seconds. The question is already on your screen. 20 seconds. We are going to 15 now. 15 seconds. 12 seconds left. I've not had any response. I'm having one already. 5 seconds left. when a user should select only one out of several options. Out of several options, only one option out. We have checkboxes, we have radio. Radio is what we use for only one option. So the correct answer is radio. Checkbox will allow you to be able to select multiple, and that was why Thomas was asking that could we have like a minimum and maximum. How can we set minimum and maximum selection in checkboxes? So radio button will allow you to select only one out of several options. Let's see who is the final winner for today. Thomas is the final winner for today. Although I know Adeji scored the same number of questions as Thomas, 13, but Thomas is a bit faster in terms of choosing the answer. Temidayo, thank you so much for picking your answers. 7 questions correctly out of 20. I believe most of the questions were answered before you even joined us at all. Afolabi Esther, don't worry. I know you came late into the class and you didn't even hear most of the training that we did. But don't worry, all is well. Victor Olumide Gideon, I want to believe that network disturbed you in your area too, because you were off and on, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 concurrent voters for today's quiz. Okay, today Thomas again is leading our quiz today. Let me take a screenshot. Let me take a screenshot. Let me take a screenshot of Thomas leading so that we can share it with the group. Okay. That brings us to the end of the quiz competition for today. Let me see if there is any more question on the group chat. Any more question? Any more question on the group chat? Okay. What about where the forms go to for actions? I believe I've already answered that one. Where the forms go to for action is the back end. We have the back end developer, we have front end developer. Right now, what you are learning is a front end development. But the front end part that you are learning is how to use HTML and CSS. There are plenty tools that you can use, but you are learning how to use HTML and CSS to do front end. So when you are through with the form, somebody would have written the code that will process the form, and that code will be stored on the back end. You will just send it to them, and then the backend will pull the information and then process it and then do something with it. Maybe store it in the database, or use it to effect something like that. So where the form will be sent to is what we write inside that action attribute that we talked about earlier today. If there is no more question, this is a very convenient place to bring this meeting to a very favorable close as we wrap up. Don't forget, this is a weekend. We're not going to be having our class tomorrow until Monday again. So please use this weekend to try and practice all you have learned. Try and do them. Use other options. Use padding, use margin, use them judiciously. If you have any question, post it on the group. Somebody that has done it will be able to respond to you. I want to thank you very much for coming and staying till the end of the training today. Until next time when we see, which is Monday by 4 p.m., I leave you in the hands of God, who is able to keep you from falling. And remember, the sky is never your limit. God is. Have a wonderful night rest weekend and a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.